All right, so I think we're live. You know what? Let me check. Okay, according to YouTube, we're live. So, alrighty. Today I am joined with Shan L. Scott, and she's an Australian author who has written 7 books, 6.
Depends when you look at it. Like actual books, I've written five, and yet to publish one of them. I've got a novella, and I've also been into anthologies.
Right. Yeah, I saw a couple of, saw quite a few that were on your um, uh, Amazon page, and you're
Mm,
also available on like Barnes and Noble and other places as well, right?
I am. So I'm
Um,
published wide for both ebooks and hardcovers, paperbacks.
Can people access that from your website?
Yes,
Okay, so I
yes, for
do
sure.
have Shan's website in the link in the description down below if you want to check out her books. You are self-published, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay. When did you decide to become an indie author, and have you explored querying agents? For me, the chances are pretty slim because I write the story that I want to tell, and I'm not going to write what they want me to write.
That's exactly right. I'm exactly the same. I queried for about a year for my first novel, which is called See Me. And I obviously got a lot of rejections, as many authors do. And the last rejection that I got, that I decided I wasn't going to continue querying, was we really enjoyed the story, but it's not the kind of story that we're marketing at the moment. So um, yeah, it wasn't on the trend, so it wasn't something they were looking for. And I thought, um, do I continue to query this story when obviously it's not within the market at the moment? And I thought, I'll just put it out there myself. So I did,
So that's
and I haven't looked back.
yeah, that's probably the biggest reason why I'll never query. I don't care about trends. I want to tell you the story that I want to write. Of course, for, just by looking at the reviews you've had, you sold a lot more than I have. So you got more marketing prowess, that is for sure.
I don't know if I've got more marketing prowess, or I just annoy people into it. So we'll
Mm,
see.
yeah.
We'll see how it goes
Hey,
in the future.
being annoying is marketing.
That's,
That's how a lot of companies made a lot of money. Um,
you just have to be persistent, I think.
yeah.
Persistent or consistent, one or the other, maybe both.
What's the best method that you found for marketing for you?
Just being myself. Um,
Yeah, like, do
I
you
don't.
like social media
I'm
or
trying. I do have social media. I think that's probably the most effective way that I've sold books through. Running price promos very, very occasionally. I don't do free books anymore because I've been guilty of people saying, "Hey, my book's free," and I download it, and then I have like a million free books and I never get around to reading it. So um, I think you have to kind of know your worth, and know, you put a lot of effort into these stories, a
Mm,
lot of heart and soul. And while it is nice to kind of, if you've got a series, to offer the first one cheaper or free for a while, I think you've got to kind of give your stories credit for what they're worth.
yeah, that's something I like. I started off as freelance writing, and that was one thing I tried teaching everybody was that 'cause I saw a lot of writers would undercut themselves to the point where the job was almost pointless. Like if you're earning pennies on the dollar, why even do the job? If all they wanted to do was get that client, I'm like, yeah, but there's others out there who will pay you what you're worth. So got to know
And
your worth.
I'm not knocking by any means people who do free book promos, all the stuff you Kindle, that kind of stuff. It can be a really effective tool, but for me, it hasn't kind of worked in the way that I've wanted it to in terms of
Mhm.
my marketing and seeing feedback and reviews and all that kind of stuff. So it's just not a viable option for me in my experience.
I don't think I would do it either. Like, I do the free books, but, like, my free stuff is either on Wattpad or Inkitt, and, I might do a couple of free ebooks as more of, um, not necessarily part of the series I'm writing, but maybe like an extension of it. But the
Mm.
actual series itself, yeah, those are good. Those aren't free. Excuse me.
Yeah. I, I'm actually I'm actually looking at I've got like a collection of short stories that I've
Um,
written that I haven't published anywhere, and I'm thinking of maybe just publishing them on my website so people
hey,
can get a bit of an idea and a taste for the things that I write, what my writing style is like. I've been told I have a writing style. I don't intend for it to be that way, but everyone's like, "Oh, I like your style of writing," and my closest friends have likened it to being like reading like they're watching a movie,
yeah,
and I think maybe that's what it is because I when I'm writing, it's like a movie playing in my head. Um,
well,
pardon me.
that's awesome because I write cinematically as well, and I didn't
Mm.
know that a lot of authors did it until I watched an interview with Andy Maslin from the UK, and he said he described writing cinematically. I'm like, that's what I do. Oh my god! And so like, there's a lot of us out there that do that, where you see it's almost like you're trying to describe the movie that's in your head. What
Describing
would
what you're
this?
seeing in
Yeah.
your
What would this look like if it was on Netflix? I take it a step further though, because I even have like theme music, and I know if I was going to make a music video or a trailer, I know what song I'd play and all the scenes to it. So I'm a little bit more of a dork, but I get you.
every book that I've written, pretty much every story that I've written since maybe 2012. Um, pardon me. I've had specific theme music that I've listened to while I've
Nice.
been writing. Um, and last night while I was at work, I was listening to the Skyrim
Oh
soundtrack.
yeah, yeah. That's a amazing soundtrack.
Just as a random thing, but it took me back to writing Curse of Perdition, which is and that's what I listened to while I was writing that book. So yeah,
Nice.
it's kind of it'll take me back to different things that
That's cool.
I've created. So yeah.
See, according to your bio, you write cozy horror stories. What exactly is a cozy horror story?
I think I think cozy horror is more. I don't know. It's a little bit gory, but not a lot. Um, it's not. It's not
So,
particularly. It's not as scary. It is scary, but it's not as scary. I don't know. I've been told by so many people that it's a cozy horror story.
hmm, yeah, I've never heard of that term. Well, actually, I have. Sandrine does stuff like that. Was it Sandrine? An author I interviewed last year did something similar with cozy in it, and I'm like, I'm not exactly sure what that means. So, like, when I see it, I'm envisioning Jason Voorhees enjoying a nice hot cup of coffee while sitting by the fire.
It is kind of more. It is a horror, but it's very narrative focused, very character focused.
So
Um,
less
but
hack and slash.
yeah, some horror, which I love, is just like so scare oriented. Like it's so focused on the fear and the scare factor. And while my books do have the scare factor and the fear factor, it's more kind of focused around the story, and those little elements kind of weave in here and there.
You do a lot of the supernatural stuff, right?
I do, yes. I can't get away from it. It's just, I
Yeah,
guess that's my theme.
so do
That's
I.
my theme. It's the paranormal, the supernatural, the woo woo, all the fun weird stuff.
Yeah,
Oh, hello.
that's yep, that's Shadow. You were just um, but yeah, I do, like, the book I'm working on right now that I'm almost ready to publish is, set in 1874 Atlantic City, and it's a dark Western, so um it has to do a lot with the supernatural, so I thought it'd be kinda cool to mix the supernatural with a Western theme, so
Dark Western sounds fascinating.
it
Sounds like
was
I would like to read.
well, my brother-in-law wanted me to write a Western, and everything I write is dark, so it's like, I'm gonna mix them. Probably not what you're looking for, but here we go.
Most of what I've written so far in my life has been quite dark. The new book that's coming is way off that. It's yeah, I don't know what's happened to me. I've um I've lost my dark side for the most part, I think, in this month. But yeah,
That's something I wanna ask here in a moment, but, I know I often get inspired by, like, historical mysteries, among many other things. What inspires you to write the stories that you tell? Like, especially with um, the your latest well, I guess it came out last year, the Curse of Perdition book.
I haven't read here.
Yeah, there you go.
I have been fascinated with ancient Egypt like forever.
Yeah.
Probably can't see it. Put a book up there. I don't think my camera's picking it up. Um, I just love it. I feel like it is so mysterious and it's kind of like the cradle of life
Mm,
for stories and
yeah,
um, like history, like where we came from. It's like a perfect example of like civilization in its most complete form, I think, that we have on the earth because there is so much of it that is preserved. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I just find it fascinating, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. Like the everything that's been made, everything that's been found, the history, the art, the culture. It's just incredible, and um, yeah, it's I think the basis of Curse of Perdition is you know how when they open the tombs in the Valley of the Kings and someone gets cursed.
Yeah.
It was kind of that kind of scenario that kind of got me thinking. Um, how could I implement this into a story? And yeah, it just unraveled from there in my head. So
Yeah, well, I looked at the description to Curse of Perdition, and it's something that I'd probably really get into because I like, mysteries like that. It's like with my book is actually a mystery. So it's a dark Western mystery book. Think of Sherlock Holmes meets Supernatural meets, I don't know, what's another one? Wild Wild West.
uh,
So, so I was reading uh, the description of Curse of Perdition. I'm like, this is probably something I'd probably like to read. What else? What can you tell us about that book without giving too many spoilers?
it's kind of one of those. I don't know if I would call it a buddy cop story
Mm.
because it's a lot darker than that. Um, but I think it's kind of a story that so basically a curse comes to town. So we're in the deep dark city that no one really wants to be there. No one wants to live there. It's kind of last resort
Los
area
Angeles.
where you kind of
Sorry, go ahead.
where you go when you don't really have another choice in your life. So I think a lot of people have kind of been in that not necessarily in that situation, but everything kind of feels a little bit hopeless, and that's what it's like in Perdition. Perdition is the nickname for this part of town. Um, and so basically, it's a story of a cop who's spent his whole life trying to make a difference and make things better, and he's got a bit of a dark history as well. And he gets to unfortunately team up with a cop from the well-to-do side of town, which he's really not happy about. And I guess it's a story about learning to trust people and learning to lean on each other, um, to try and, fix things and help people and, fight your own demons and kind of confront the things that you've been running from.
Nice. Yeah, the QR code that is on the video right now actually links directly to Curse of Perdition on Amazon if you'd like to give it a look. Samantha says, I am really excited to read the Second Sight trilogy. Okay, so that I want to get into that here in a second. Um, but so I'll kind of jumped around here a little bit. Oh, whatever. I love the covers to your Second Sight trilogy. And I know that you had them changed. Are the designs that
Yeah.
are out of print the originals?
I don't know if Amazon still stocks them. They may do, um, because when they for the print versions, when I did my first run of them, they stocked quite a few in their warehouse, and they may still be in stock. So this is like one of them. So it's a
Oh, so
hand. These are the hand painted ones.
oh,
These are the old
oh,
versions. These ones. Um, so they may still be available, but the new ones, the current ones, don't know. It
yeah.
depends where you're ordering it from, I guess, because it's a print on demand.
But those are some stunning covers. I like those a lot. Do you have like a
Oh, I made
specific? Did you make that yourself?
yes, I did.
Nice. They're beautiful.
I did a bit of graphic design at uni,
Nice.
so
Yeah, they look amazing. I love them. So, Jennifer Decker says, "I see a guitar. Is this another wordsmith with other autistic outlets? Artistic outlets. Sorry.
yeah. I am a classical guitarist, so I started learning when I was about 14 years old.
Wow. Do you
Yeah,
have any other hobbies aside from that?
I have so many. I have too many.
Well, aside from Pictionary?
Oh, I love Pictionary. It's the most fun you can have sitting at a table, I think. Um, I do. I like to sing. I'm a bit of a singer. I actually play. Um, well, I haven't played all of them for quite a time, but I used to play about 11 instruments.
Wow.
Very kind of musically oriented. I actually had this really strange dream today that I was playing drums for Guns N' Roses. It's another thing
Awesome.
entirely. It was
That'd be a
so weird.
that'd be an
They
awesome
recruited
dream.
me in a shopping mall of all things. Um,
Nice. I never have interesting dreams like that.
I don't often either. I think even if I do, I don't remember them. But yes, writing has kind of become the main one now.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I actually enjoy cooking as well. So
right.
that's another bit of a hobby.
Yeah. Jack of all trades. Let's see. Speaking of Second Sight, what can you tell us about the trilogy? Because that
The trilogy.
is it just a trilogy, or do you plan on doing any more with it?
I may do something more with it in the future, but I don't think it will be centralized around the characters that are in the trilogy at the moment. So I may do some kind of side stories from other characters that have like briefly appeared. I do have ideas. I do have ideas of what I may do with them in the future, but at this point, I have another story, another book to write after this, the one that I'm going to release in March. So maybe after that. It might be a little while though. So the Second Sight trilogy is very much based around relationships, and the decisions that we make and how we participate in those. Um, there's definitely a bit of romance. The first book is kind of very heavily romance based. Um, and we follow Shelley Butler, who is our main character, our protagonist, who has a little bit of a special gift that she doesn't quite realize at first. She doesn't quite understand. Yeah, and we just follow her through navigating. a relationship that's not quite healthy and you know, moving along and trying to kind of find her way within that, and this gift that kind of opens up to her. Um, yeah.
Fun.
And then the second book is kind of a little bit of a crime mystery, and Shelley's involved in a kidnapping and um, trying to. She finds a body in the woods, and she's involved with. I'm not very good at speaking about my books. This is the thing. I'm trying to think in my head, what can I say that's not going to give the story away, but's going to make people really want to read them?
Oh,
It's
I feel
so
you.
hard.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Like like with one of my books, my first book, Kingmaker. I have to be really careful about how I describe Kingmaker because it's like see, I don't think I can do it without giving it away. Because it is
I think that's the thing. I think we get everyone goes, "Oh, the blurb is so hard to write. It's so hard to write a synopsis." I find a synopsis much easier to write than a blurb. And then you get the blurb, and you're like, "This is fantastic. This is wonderful." And people read it and they go, "Oh, can you tell me more about it?" And I'm like, "Oh,
read the book.
I don't know. I can write about it as much as you want. I could, just type away and say this, but like to verbalize. Yeah, it's tricky. It's really tricky,
Yeah.
especially when you don't want to give spoilers. And what I think might be spoilers probably isn't,
Mm.
but because it's my story and I think that every part of it is so, so important, like, oh, I don't want to give this bit away, or I don't want to give that bit away. So yeah, it's really tricky. But yeah, it's definitely it's a little bit darker. The series gets darker and darker as you go through. So the last book is it's a little bit heavy, and it deals with some experiences that a lot of people have kind of experienced or had to go through, and I've tried to do it in the most kind of tactful way that I can,
Mm.
but I also kind of feel like these things need to be talked about. um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's definitely, but yeah, the supernatural, the paranormal, um, is present in all three of those books, as in all of my books. So
Mm.
yeah, it's definitely, and it's a bit of fun. There's a bit of humor. There's some jokes. It's not all dark and horrible. And it's,
Yeah.
it's a good. I think it's a good balance of kind of light and dark, and like hope and despair. Um, so yeah, I think I enjoyed writing it. I've had some good feedback on them. So
Yeah,
hopefully,
there's
uh,
yeah, during when I was writing Kingmaker, is because it's a dark fantasy, and there's characters that were just really fun to write because they were so like one in particular has the curiosity of a child, but he's a scholar. But he doesn't know everything, and he wants to know everything, and he's extremely blunt. So when he asks questions, he's not taking anything into consideration. He's just asking it straight out. So it's led to a couple of funny conversations. So you can still have a lot of fun with the dark theme.
yeah.
Um, let's see. You have an okay. So this is I wanted to ask about. So you have an interesting collage of images on your blog for the Rebels Guide, which comes out in March. What can you tell us about that, or is it something you are closely guarding as a secret? Because I really couldn't find much on it.
See, this is another thing of what I was just talking about. It's it's hard to know what to say. Obviously, I need to market this book before I release it. Um, but yeah, it's definitely, so. Let's just say historical sci-fi with a bit of woo-woo.
Uh, okay. Yeah, because you had like all these different pictures on it. I'm trying to put it all together. I'm like, wow, this is all over the map.
It is a little bit all over the map. So um, I will say there's a bit of time travel involved,
Ooh.
bit of sort of quantum physics style, a activities
Oh,
going on there.
that sounds fun.
Um, but again, it's another story about kind of learning who you are and, you know, learning about relationships with the people around you, who to trust, who you can rely on. Um, yeah, and what's important in life, and kind of deciding what is important to you, like really, really deep down, like the really, really basic stuff um, of yourself as an individual and a collective. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's a lot lighter than my other books in terms of themes.
Mhm.
But I hope it's still as interesting and fun. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, is there a pre-order link to it, or are you just gonna drop it
not yet.
when you're ready?
I think I'm just gonna drop it. Yeah.
Um, do you plan on sharing on social media or anything when you do that?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
So everybody needs to follow your socials, which are available on your website. You got a lot more than some of the other authors I've interviewed. You also have a YouTube channel, but you haven't really done much with it.
I haven't. I did to start with, and then I got nervous about it, and I deleted my videos. Um,
Yeah, you had a couple of shorts on there.
I do. I have a couple of shorts, and I might put some more up. Me being on video is something that I'm not altogether not comfortable with, but just something that I'm not used to. I'm not well versed in, and not kind of practiced at. You might be able to
Yeah.
tell.
Well, I've been doing this since 2018. I'm still not practiced. So, I mess up a lot. There's a reason why I have jump cuts all through my videos. I will butcher a line. And sometimes and often enough, it's the most simplest lines that I wind up screwing up the worst. Okay, so
I have a Twitch channel as well, and I think like they take the videos down after a week or something now.
yeah.
Not sure how that works, but I was doing some streams on Twitch for a little while,
Hey,
but then I got a new job, and that kind of put the kibosh on that
uh,
for the time being until I kind of work out a schedule that works for me and for everyone.
yeah. In fact, you're the one that's like when I saw that you had a Twitch channel, I'm like, huh? So I looked it up, and there's actually a lot of writers on Twitch. I didn't know that, and so it blew
Yeah,
me away. So I subscribed to your Twitch channel or followed your Twitch
thank
channel.
you.
But
There's quite a few authors that will do like writing sprints on Twitch as well. So
maybe I should do
I found
that.
there's quite a few that do them on YouTube as well, like yourself.
Yeah. Me, I think I had one on recently. Margaret Bernard, I think she does sprints as well. Um, Holly Rhiannon and somebody else. I can't think of her name offhand. But yeah, that's what kind of gave me the idea of doing them. But a lot of them like to do it in absolute silence or with music playing. I can't write with music. So I have to turn on like a background sound, like oceans. Today I was writing to the sound of a fire with a storm outside that I created myself using epidemic sounds. And this is why I like like the ambience, but I can't have music playing while I'm writing. And so
Mm.
um, I had a question for you in amongst all that, and I sidetracked myself.
I can't listen to music with
There we go.
lyrics.
That's what I was going to do.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you listen to while you're writing?
I listened to a lot of Skyrim soundtrack when I
Mhm.
wrote Curse. The current book that I'm getting ready to publish at the moment, The Rebel's Guide. Um, I say a lot. I've just realised I say a lot.
It's all good.
I listen to a lot of like frequency sound music, like very backgroundy type,
Kind of like
like
that.
meditation.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
style.
like, that brainwave 584
Yeah,
megahertz sound, whatever it is.
yeah, yeah. So I listen to a lot of that.
I can see that.
It
No.
kind of puts you into a little bit of a trance zone like state, and I was like a zombie. So for some of writing this book, where it was just like um, I would write something, and then I would get to the end of the chapter, I'm like, did I just write? And I'd go back and be like, you know what? That's not too bad. That's all right for someone who was so in the zone that you just don't realize. I guess we call it flow, like being in flow when you're creating something. Um, yeah, so it was
I've
really, really nice experience to kind of be in that state for writing a lot of this book. Yeah.
I forget what I write, but I think that's mostly because I'm getting older and I have kids. So the stress level's high. Um, do you like to read any other, like, you write the dark spirituality stuff or spiritual stuff, supernatural, sorry. Um, are there other genres that you like to read aside from those you write? Like
I like
well, I mostly write dark fantasy, but I love like just plain horror. Like I love Stephen King, Dean Koontz, Peter Straub. But there are times where like I love the classics. Robert, mm, Mike Jake too. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, I can say that one. So I love the Robert Louis Stevenson. I love the classics. Is there anything that you like outside of your supernatural?
the genre.
Yeah.
I love Terry Pratchett.
Mm.
So I'm a huge Discworld fan. I have a couple of first editions,
Oh,
which but yeah, I've actually loaned out quite a few of my books when I'm like, oh, you've got to read these books, and I hand them out, and I never get them back, so I
oh,
have to buy some more,
uh,
which is a little bit disappointing. But that's okay. Books are books. You need to have books. Obviously, I've got
yeah.
quite a few behind here. Um, I don't know. I kind of like to stick within the genre. I do like the supernatural stuff. I like the witchy magic kind of. I do like horror to a point.
Yeah.
I tend to scare myself with if it gets a bit too scary. Um, so I don't know if that's any reflection on the level of horror that I write. Um, I've never scared myself with my own writing before, but I think because it's coming from my own head and I understand it
Yeah.
in a way that I might not as I'm reading something for the first time. I do really enjoy Darcy Coates' stories, Darcy Coates' books. She's a fantastic horror writer from Australia. So, but yeah, Stephen King, it scares the hell out of me, uh, but I love it. But he has some wonderful stories that aren't horror as well.
Yeah,
So
like I love Shawshank Redemption, Eyes of the Dragon. Desperation wasn't well, it wasn't too scary, but um,
might be scary for some, but
well, there's times where I didn't scare myself while I'm writing, but I do ask myself, what the hell is wrong with me? Because you write something and then you take a pause and you start thinking to yourself, should I be locked up somewhere? Because I've gone a little overboard on a few things before. um, yeah, there's been a few times where, like in Seven, that's on Wattpad, that I'm rewriting it because I started back in 2016 and I've advanced quite a bit since then. So I read back and cringe slightly. So I'm rewriting it. But Gluttony is my favorite, and if that tells you anything, take Gluttony and then twist the hell out of it. It is pretty gross. Um, but yeah, have you ever had those moments where you think to yourself that there's something wrong with you?
yes. Yeah, especially when I have some friends who don't normally read the horror genre, um, and they're kind of like, "Oh, this is a little bit gory." I'm like, and I think to myself, it's not too bad compared to some of the stuff that I've read, like other things that
Mm.
I've read. But then I look at it and I'm like, that is kind of it's a little bit disturbing. And then I kind of analyze it a little bit. So I try to psychoanalyze myself. Like, where is this coming from? Like,
Why am I
why
this
am I
way?
thinking why am I thinking this might be entertaining? Um, but then at the same time, it's telling the story, like it's part of telling the story, and I don't think that you could, you know, tell that story without having those kind of actions and
Yeah,
you know things involved because it is a horror. Like if I had a little bit of gore here and a little bit of gore there, and then it was all fluffy, you know,
yeah.
puppies and kittens, it wouldn't fit. So, but
That's
then I think to myself, am I going too far, or is this inappropriate? So I do think about those kinds of things when I'm writing, and then I'm usually like, well, I've seen things that are much much worse than this. So
oh yeah. So I.
yeah.
I'm like, yeah,
I think it's just a matter of, I guess, as a reader, um, what what you're accustomed to, like what you're used to reading, and
yeah.
hopefully I don't offend anyone.
Uh, I don't think anybody here is offended.
I
Please, if you're watching my show, you're not
I
offended by
guess if you don't
anything.
like what you put it down.
Yeah, my audience has heard far worse from me. So I've toned it down a bit. I haven't dropped an F bomb yet. Oh, my show's pretty lax. Let's see, what else did I want to go over? When you're putting your stories together, like I know that you did Second Sight is a trilogy. Um,
Mhm.
are you planning any other series with
Not
like
at this stage. I don't have any storylines in my head that could be a series. I think got a couple of stories outlined, very basically outlined, that are likely to be standalones. Maybe one that's going to be a screenplay.
oh, are you gonna
I
submit
read a I read a screenplay last year as well. So not
was it
last year. What did I do last year?
was the screenplay based on a book or is it a completely different story?
No, completely different story.
Oh, are you gonna submit
It's
it?
a horror as well. Yeah.
I was debating on somebody here wants me to do a screenplay of my next book, and I want to do it, but I want to do it on YouTube because I don't have the money to do all that. And instead of submitting it, I'm just like, you know what? I want to make it myself. So, how did you feel about doing the screenplay? Have you ever done it before?
I've attempted two screenplays, which were supposed to be adaptations of my books. And it was too hard because, well, it's too hard at the moment until I get used to writing more screenplays, I think, which is something that I'm going to do more down the track. Um, but it's the same thing as trying to talk about your book or tell people about your book, because obviously you've got something here that's like nearly 400 pages, and a
Mhm.
screenplay needs to be about 90 pages.
Yeah,
So a minute per page. Um, how do you fit all of that
yeah,
into 90 minutes? And you've kind of got to decide what you're going to include, what you're going to leave out, or how you might like rework things so that it all fits in. Um, and I found I was kind of like obsessing over what I was going to keep in there or how I was going to do it. Um, and I think I need to kind of learn the skill a little bit more before I go back to doing that again.
uh, still.
It's tricky. It's a whole different beast.
Oh yeah,
Screenwriting, a whole different skill. I'm really pleased with how the story that I've written last year turned out. I really enjoyed doing that. I think for me, writing them as their own thing, rather than an extension of my books, is probably going to be the way I go with screenwriting for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, till I develop my skills a little bit more.
Or until somebody brings a lot of money to your doorstep and says, "I want your book," in a movie.
That's
Yeah. All right. As long as I get to write it, you got it. Do you use what software do you use for screenplays?
I have Final Draft.
Ah, Final Draft is like a kind of like a Swiss Army knife for writers, ain't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like an industry standard piece of software for screenwriting and makes everything so much easier in terms of your formatting, um, and just having everything the way that it's supposed to be and how it's supposed to look. I did try using, pardon me, another piece of software called Trelby, which is a free
I heard
free
that one.
screenwriting software. Um, but yeah, I think Final Draft, like if you're going to write a screenplay, it's worth investing
Right.
in getting the right tools to do the job because it just you can focus more on actually the actual writing than all the technical aspects of
That's
the
one
story.
thing
So
I got to play around with Arc Studio last year, and that was one of the things I liked about it is that a lot of it was plug and play things, and all I had to worry about was dialogue. So it was definitely different. I've never tried Final Draft though. I hear a lot of good things. I haven't done it. I'm broke, folk. So, um. Oh, so there was something about the. I was going to ask you another question about the screenplay, but I guess I just lost it.
oh, so the screenplay, I
Oh,
I wrote it to be based in Australia, but I don't know, like um, not knocking the Australian film industry, but obviously, like we're not Hollywood or anything here.
Hollywood's not
Um,
Hollywood anymore.
we do make a lot of really great stuff here in Australia, particularly here in Queensland. We've got the Village Roadshow Studios just down the road.
Nice.
Um, so we make a lot of stuff. We're doing Voltron at the moment. Henry Cavill's in town, so um,
Uh,
that's that's really interesting.
Henry
Um,
Cavill and Voltron.
yeah,
Oh,
was I
I'm gonna have
supposed
to
to
look.
say?
Oh, did you
I
spoil
don't know.
something?
I might have.
Uh-oh. You
Oh
heard it
no,
here
no,
first,
it's on
folks.
IMDb. It's on IMDb. That's all
Okay.
right. No, it's on
That's
IMDb.
all right. I thought I got a scoop. I was all excited.
No, no, it's been in our like our news is in town and that kind of stuff. But yeah, if you look up on IMDb, it's on there.
That's kind of
But
cool.
yeah, I just thought I might have had a spoiler because I have a friend at the studios that was talking about it a couple of months ago. But I just remembered the reason that I knew he was in it was because I looked it up on IMDb.
Ah,
And I'm like,
okay.
"Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
had a
it's all
friend.
good. It's all good. Or anything.
I had a friend who was a translator on set in Hollywood, and she used to send me snaps of while she was there, just because she thought it'd be fun. Well, you're not supposed to do that. So she was inadvertently leaking pictures from the movie to me.
Wow.
Once she learned she wasn't supposed to, she stopped. But you, sometimes you just don't think of that kind of stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Henry Cavill's in town. It's all good.
Yeah, Henry Cavill's in town. Chris Hemsworth lives down the road. Well, we say down the road. Byron Bay's like, yeah, but that's down the road in Australia. Quite a big place, but quite a big country.
Yeah,
I think I saw
more.
something yesterday that anywhere that's under 4 hours one way is a day trip.
mm, Yeah, that's like that here in Colorado. Like
Yeah.
long distance to me isn't long distance until you've been on the road for 2 hours. You should drive back and forth from Sterling to Denver, and that's almost an hour and 38-minute trip. Or am I thinking it's 138 miles?
Hmm.
I don't know. Long to me doesn't exist until the sun goes down. But I've been on the road too long. But yeah, Australia's like much bigger, where everything wants to kill you. So
Not necessarily. I have a few pet spiders.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
in my house.
your guys' spiders, you can lash a saddle to and ride down the street.
Yeah, sometimes. It depends. It depends. We do have the little ones as well.
Yeah, it's the huntsman's that.
Most of them are family. You don't want to kind of step on a funnel web, but we don't have a lot of them here in Queensland. They're
Yeah,
kind of down south.
yeah, that's
We do have the snakes though.
yeah.
Yeah.
So somebody asked me if I wanted to go to Australia, and I'm like, no, I saw the size of the spiders. I'm good.
There's not a lot of them though, and they hide most of the time. They're pretty kind of scaredy little creatures. They won't, particularly the big ones, the really big ones, the huntsmans that kind of
Yeah, yeah, that's not literal. That's not
they're
exactly
more
little.
afraid of you than you are of them.
Oh, I highly doubt that. Jennifer says, I love her coffee mug. I didn't see what's the coffee mug says there. Oh, nice.
Says, take
Take life
life
one cup at a
one
time.
cup at a time.
Nice. And Jennifer loves spiders and snakes. Snakes don't bother me. It's the really big spiders. Like I think the biggest one we have here is the God, it's like a garden spider, but the its body can get almost the size, about half the size of my fist, and they have like stupid long legs. And what they'll do is that they'll shake their web back and forth when anything comes by to snag it. And when they start
So,
moving,
frightened of our spiders when you have something nearly as big as your fist.
and it's because I could, yeah, well, yeah, good point. Well, it's about half the size of my fist. Yeah, yeah,
Quite a large.
um, but they'll change colors. So, like if they're up against a white porch or a white propane tank, they'll change white. But they'll start when they start moving their webs. It is kind of freaky to watch.
Oh,
So yeah, that's when you pull out the shotgun.
I've discovered with some of our spiders, if you want to take them outside, if you're fast enough, you can pick them up by a leg, and they'll just curl themselves up, and you can carry them outside. Don't recommend it for everybody to try that because they do bite sometimes. But I've done it a couple of times now. You just kind of pick them up by their leg, and they just play dead. You know how like when
Mm,
they just curl all their legs up
yeah,
underneath them. Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then you just come
Uh,
outside.
I'm I'm not feeling it. It's all good. Um, I had another question, but the whole spider thing kind of threw me off.
All right,
Jennifer,
back to the books,
yeah,
back to the writing.
yeah, there's some horror fuel for a book. um, Spiders are our friends. They know you're just taking them out. I'll take
Hmm,
them out, all right.
yeah.
Take them out with a hammer. Um, I did. Where was I? Like, wow, that my mind is completely washed. Um,
Screenplay. We were talking about the
the
screenplay.
screenplays. What kind of story did you write for the screenplay?
It's a horror. Yeah,
Oh, horror, obviously.
it's another horror. Yeah. Um, Another bit of kind of like spooky kind of magic
Yeah.
thing. It's a cave story. Everybody loves a cave horror story. So yeah.
Yeah. Um, do you have you ever seen Supernatural?
Well, I love cave stories, and I feel like I'm everybody when it comes to cave stories. So I'm like, yeah, everybody loves a cave story.
Okay, well, that's all that matters. As long as you
I
enjoy
really
it.
enjoy movies like the Descent. I love
Mhm.
the Descent movies. And As Above, So Below, which isn't really a cave story. It's the catacombs of um Paris and
Oh yeah.
France. So it's a great story. Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't. But it's
I highly
you said the catacombs,
recommend
and I'm like piqued my interest. I love that kind of
it.
stuff.
Yeah, I think it's Catacombs and Nicholas Flamel and Philosopher's Stone and
Oh, and what's it?
yeah,
What is it? Make some notes here.
As Above,
Whoops.
So Below.
Um,
So that's my scary movie recommendation for the day.
everybody just yeah, there we go. Okay, well, I will have to check that out. I like that kind of stuff. Um, is there? I'll tell you that spider derailed me. um, right.
When I say picking them up by the leg, not all spiders. Some spiders you can pick them up by the leg.
Right. Still,
But most people just put like a container over them and a piece of paper underneath and carry them
just
out that
scoop them up.
way.
Do it with a shovel. Get as far away as possible. Okay, golf club. There we go. Fish are friends, not food. So are spiders. That's read my chat. Like, I'm not. Spiders aren't my food. um. So, is there if there's you use okay? So you use Final Draft to write your books and do the screenplay, correct?
No, I use Word to write my books.
Oh,
I'm very old school with
ah,
the. I tried Scrivener. I don't understand it, and
well,
I'm old, so I don't want to understand
yeah.
it.
Scrivener's is a decent tool. Problem is that it has so much to it that it can feel overwhelming.
I
So
like to keep things very simple.
yeah, that's one of the reasons why
And I
I
think that's why I like Final Draft because it's just so simple. Like it's
yeah
so easy to kind of
that's what
tackle.
I like using. I use Readsy. I wrote and published Kingmaker directly straight from Readsy, and Readsy keeps
Mm.
everything really basic and simple too. Problem with Readsy is that it doesn't have a lot of formatting options. So, like something with like Atticus is like extensive with formatting. Do you worry about formatting when in Word, or like do you put all your pages
I
in?
I use Atticus to format my ebooks
And did that work out?
because it's kind of the closest thing to Vellum because um, Apple has Vellum as their
Mm,
software that they use for. Well, I assume most Apple users use that for formatting their ebooks. And I'm pretty good at kind of formatting my paperbacks and stuff within Word. I I have Word 2019,
woohoo!
so I have an old version that has no like little extra add-ons and stuff. So I kind of have to do everything myself. But I kind of like it that way because it just means that I'm a bit more thorough.
Mm,
Um, because I sometimes can have a tendency to kind of think, well, I'm doing this, I'm formatting the whole book, doing this one thing, but then I make sure that I go through and that it's actually happened. So
yeah.
um,
So
yeah,
you've used you've used Atticus then for your ebooks. What do you
yeah.
think of it?
I like it better than the Kindle Create.
Recreate? Oh my god, I
There's a lot more kind of style options, a lot of more formatting, different fonts.
yeah.
There's a lot there are more options with Atticus, but I also there are some features that I don't like, things that are a bit more time consuming. I would like to be able to say do this to my whole book instead of going through chapter by chapter. I don't know, maybe you can. Maybe it's like a scenario where I how I feel about Scrivener, where there's just things that I just don't know how to do,
Mm,
and so I'm doing it step by step. But maybe I will figure that out one day, or someone can. Maybe I'll watch a tutorial and they can tell me more about it.
mm.
So.
I
I like it. It does what I need it to do. So yeah,
yeah,
I'm happy with it.
awesome. You brought up oh, like with 2019, I think I could find I have a disc of 2003. I have word from when I went to college. But I don't think I can install. That was for Windows XP? No, I think I have the disk for Windows 95. Or no, Windows 98 XE, SE, that's what it was. Let's go old school. Is there If you had one bit of advice to give to a new author, what would it be?
Oh gosh, that's a really big question. Ah, I
Or if
think
there's this
just
if there's more than
write
just
as
one.
write as authentically as you can. I think be as authentic in your storytelling as you can. You know,
Yeah.
be true to yourself. Don't. And I think this kind of goes back to my experience of trying to write for market. It wasn't like trying to write a story that I thought people might like to hear, as opposed to telling the story that I needed to tell.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what it comes down to for me is um, I have a need to tell a certain type of story and tell it in a certain type of way.
Mhm.
And when I feel like I'm doing that the best I can, I think that's when I produce my best work.
I would have to totally agree with that. I wrote a blog post about, do you write the story you want to tell or what sells? And I was looking at some tools for Amazon and like KDP Spy, and they're like focused on um, analyzing the books that have sold and what trends are and trying to write for those. And I don't think I could ever write for a trend. To me, it almost like it feels more forced that way.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way as well. I have a story that I tried to kind of write to market, and it started out that way, and then it just turned into kind of
Yeah.
spooky paranormal thing again.
I started
Like,
off
how is this
good and
really back in?
I'm gonna do what I want. um, okay. So, does anybody have any questions before we say goodnight to Shan? Don't forget that her link to the blog and Amazon is in the description down below. The QR code on screen is directly to Curse of Perdition. Your next book will be out next month. Do you have a date in mind, or what was that?
Probably towards the end of the month.
Okay. So follow her on social media so that you know when that comes out. I'm kind of curious because it was like the teaser pictures are like, what the hell? We have spaceships and I think it was a jaguar and like, huh. All right, well, this is going to be interesting.
It's one of those stories where it's got a bit of everything and it all comes together.
How much research did you have to do for Curse of Perdition? Like, did you like dive really deep into Egyptology or
I've been diving deep into Egyptology for decades.
so it
So
kind of just
I had a
came?
well, obviously it's fictional, so I'm not writing about anything that specifically is included in our current history. Um, and when I say current history, I'm one of those people. It's like, is everything a temple? You know. So, and that's kind of um, where I've started with that. Is just something is discovered, um, and it brings a curse. So it's kind of like leaning on the history that we know of. When they opened
Mm,
Tutankhamun's tomb,
yeah.
people died, and they attributed it to a curse. So it's a similar scenario to that as to how it starts, but then we kind of bring it into the modern day, which is it's set in the 1950s. So we're a little bit old school with this story, but it's very kind of nostalgic, a little bit noir kind of story. Uh,
Nice.
I've had people say it's a mix between Sin City and The Mummy. So
Yeah, I read that. I'm like, that would be interesting because I loved both
yeah,
those movies.
yeah. So it's a little bit like that. So
Yeah.
hopefully people get a bit of a kick out of it. It's a bit of fun. It's a little bit of scary. It's a little bit of there's a lot of tension, and I think you kind of come to love a lot of the characters. even though there's some of them that you really love to hate as well. You kind of feel for them.
Nice. Yep, it's definitely gonna be on my TBR pile.
How big is your TBR?
Well, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, because I haven't read Stephen King's Fairy Tale yet. That was on my list. I just got this from Barnes& and Noble recently. It's classic horror stories. Um, I didn't know that, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, I didn't know that he wrote horror. Or Robert Louis Stevenson. No idea
What?
until, yeah. Like, oh my God, there's like a couple stories in from both of them, and I had no idea that they wrote horror stories. Like Robert Louis Stevenson wrote The Body Snatcher.
You know, people were writing in multiple genres,
Yeah.
even way.
But it kind of blew me away. I'm like, that's Sherlock Holmes. What? So I'm like, that was one of the biggest reasons why I got we got the book. But it has H.P. Lovecraft, Bram Stoker, Edgar Allan Poe. But I've been wanting to read that since we bought it. And then
Lovely book. Great
all
books.
the yeah, all the books behind me we got from Read Between the Stars. I bought them from the authors that were there. The Oilman's Daughter is a steampunk set in space, so I'm like, oh, I gotta read that. So yeah, my TBR is getting kind of heavy. Need to find some time to start knocking them out. Okay, well, thank you for hanging out with us. Don't Everybody who's watching, don't forget that our book comes out next month in March. It
People watching,
is
everyone.
What's the title of the book for March?
Pardon?
Your March book? What's
The Rebel's Guide.
The Rebel's Guide?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks interesting. So there's nothing out on it yet, so we're all going to be surprised.
I'm going to start dropping some teasers
All
in
right.
the next couple of weeks. So yeah, we'll get
So
there.
follow our social medias. You can access all those on our website. Link is in the description down below. Thank you very much for hanging out with us today, Shan, and hopefully we can have you again on again in the future. We'll
Thanks for having me.
talk more about horrific spiders and everything in Australia trying to kill you.
We'll get on to the snakes next time.
Oh yeah. All right. You have a good evening.
You too.
Okay. Bye bye. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. Oh, let me fix my headset. Everybody, yeah.
Powering off.
I bet everybody heard that one. Anywho, so that was a lot of fun. I still don't think I have any interest in exploring Australia spiders. So I don't have arachnophobia. I just don't like spiders that I can ride. So let's do our card for the night. I think I'm going to buy Curse of Perdition. That sounds like something that almost sounds a little bit like what I just wrote. So, not really, because she dove into Egypt, and mine's more, well, not. I don't want to give too much away. I drink my tea here. Anyway, last week's card was Writing makes me feel alive. It is not a want, but a need. I write only because I am talented. Whoops. I write not only because I am talented, but because this message, story, theme won't let me rest until it is on that paper, glittering in all its glory. See, that's why I have so many jump cuts in my videos. I get way too ahead of myself. And, okay, this week's card for affirmation is today I will challenge myself to try a new approach with my writing. I don't know if I want to do that because I like how my approach to writing is. A different perspective, a refreshing twist, a new style. Today, I will find comfort in exploring all the ways my personality impacts my writing. See, I don't know. Well, I can see why. Um, it's one of the reasons why I suggest reading outside of your genre. Mostly because you won't know what you like until you write it. But you'd be amazed by how often a different style of writing influences my own. And so I don't know about challenging myself to do it though, but I don't know. We'll still use it. Anywho, I don't know if anybody else is here still, but I can't see the screen. I can see chat, but that's about it. Let me change this. There we go. Okie dokie. Whoop. There you go. Yeah, put that up there. Alrighty. Well, I think I'm gonna call it a night. It was a lot of fun. Uh, she's a nice lady. I'm really looking forward to reading Christopher Edition, adding it to my TBR pile, like we said. So, anywho, don't forget that if you are an author and you have a book published on anywhere in the world, go to Writer Sanctuary's website and use the author contact form and send an email directly to me and get you on the show. Next up, I have Maggie. She's going to be on. I can't remember her last name. And then March 10th, I have Laura Thompson and Timothy Robert coming back to talk about their book. That is, I'm really looking forward to the argument between the covers. You have to have you have had to have paid attention to social media for that one because it was a big to do. So that's on March 10th. But yeah, that's a lot of fun having Shan on, and hopefully we can have her on again. That was fun. Right scene, go Shannon. Yep, Shannon was a lot of fun. Um, really, her style sounds a lot like mine, and so I bet I would probably groove on her books. So I am definitely going to start with Curse of Perdition, and keep an eye on when she has her next book published in March. Anywho, I'm gonna wrap things up. Have a great evening. She's an amazing writer. Um, have you read her stuff, right, Scene? Um, I haven't yet, but when I read the description of the book, it sounded something similar that I write, and then her description of it is like, yeah, that's probably what I'm gonna have to read. So I'm definitely going to be adding that to my list. In fact, if I have enough right now, I could probably just buy the book, order it off Amazon tonight. I'll probably forget. She's on our platform. Awesome. Yeah, she. It sounds like a lot of fun. I love writing dark stuff too, and a lot of mine deals with supernatural. I went a little bit farther back though. Mine's based in 1874. So great show. Well, thank you very much. Um, yep, it was a pleasure having her on. It was a pleasure for everybody to be here. Anywho, I'm gonna wrap this up. It is 8:08, and I have to pee. So have a good night, everybody. Thank you for watching. Don't forget that I will be doing a writing sprint tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time. We will be writing to the sound of fire and rainstorm. That's one of my favorite sound effects. And I'll be working on wrapping up the final edits to Shadows of Atlantic City so we can get it published soon. So I'm looking forward to that. Bye. All right, scene. Bye, everybody. Have a good one. I'll see you next time.